What's up, Grow Fam? It's Wednesday.
Hey,
Once again, it's Wednesday, the middle of the week. We all need that little something to get us through the rest of the week, right? I don't know, but today's Wednesday. It's another Waylon Wednesday on Grow Fam. What's up, Grow Fam? How's it going, everybody? It's Wednesday once again. Switching audio tonight. Yeah, so tonight, okay, we're good to go. Grow Fam Wednesday, Waylon Wednesday. What's up, Grow Fam? Getting that middle of the week going on right now. We're going to have a little sesh. We're going to hang out and have some fun. We're going to give away Grow Fam box tonight. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Waylon Wednesday, powered by Grow Fam. All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. Waylon Wednesday on Grow Fam. We are on the Indoor Farmer Rumble channel as well. If you guys are interested in Rumble, ask me about that. But yeah, happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy midweek sesh. It's time to maybe, we'll have some fun and maybe find some information out at the same time. All right. Hello, Grow Fam, and welcome to Wednesday night. We Grow Wednesday. Guys, it is, let's see, it's 4-3 now. It's 4-3. It was 3-3. Now it's 4-3, 2024, guys. Bring it in. It's going to be an awesome show tonight. We've had a good week already. Hope you guys are having a good week, too. Don't feel too down about that weather, guys. The rain, we need it. We had snow today in Illinois. Went back to snow. Went from like in the 70s and back to snow. It's crazy, but it's all good. It's all good. It's precipitation. It's good for us. So, fam, tonight we've got our giveaway. We've got the Foop 50 we're gonna do. We're gonna do that a little later, and of course, we also have an awesome guest. It's kind of a double guest tonight, guys. Kind of a double guest. We're gonna be talking about a company, an awesome company that has a product that I think would really go well with a lot of what we're already doing here in this community. Definitely goes well with Foop. But also, not only is it we're talking about Supercharged Organics tonight, but we're also going to be talking to the man who helped start it all and is just like instrumental to the science behind everything. So you guys are going to put your hats on tonight. Get a notebook, get your notebook out or something. Make sure the pen is handy. And there's gonna be notes to take. There's gonna be so much information. You guys are gonna definitely be blown away, I think, for sure. So before we get into it, before I bring him up, let's see it. I see a lot of people already tagging and sharing at followers everywhere. Appreciate that, guys. Let's bring them in. Tag the friends. Hit that like button. Share us places that you haven't shared us before. How about that? Let's see. Let's see. Let me check over on the Rumble. We are live. Let me just throw that out here. We're live on Facebook in 2 different locations. We're live on 2 different YouTube channels. We're live on X right now. Shouts out to my X friends. And we're live in 2 different locations on Rumble. And we're also live on Kick. So the new kid on the block, Kick, is we're on there, but I don't know, why. It's a thing. It's a thing. So let's bring up our guests. You guys, please hit the like button if you haven't yet already. Doing well, Scroy. Thank you, brother. And thanks, Margaret, over there on the Rumble. Appreciate you for that. But yeah, without further ado, let's see who we got up here. All right, we've got John Carroll here, who is representing himself, but also representing Supercharged Organics tonight. John, hello.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Waylon. This is pretty exciting. I normally don't get to do these types of things very often, and when I do, it brings excitement to my heart.
So, I can't imagine, like, with all the knowledge that you have, and we're going to get into it, but like being able to give that out to people who are interested in it or eager to learn it. That I think is one of the most fulfilling things in life. Trying to shove it on your kids when they don't want to really care, like that's kind of annoying, but you still need to teach them, But when you have somebody out there that's like, yeah, what do you got? Tell me everything,
Well, it's funny. It's I'd like to claim that I'm that guy who has infinite wisdom and I like to enlighten everybody, but that's far from the truth. This science is so damned exciting that I just have to talk about it because it's such an amazing thing, the way everything is constructed in this world. Everything is so interconnected and so cyclic in nature, but so intricate, but yet so simplified. It's amazing. So it's hard to keep quiet about a thing like this. And so when I have a chance to explain really basic things of like how the carbon cycle works or those types of things, it's just exciting to me. And I find joy in getting other people stoked and excited about the things that I find exciting. So there's nothing altruistic about it at all. I'm not the great teacher or anything. I'm just kind of a selfish guy who likes to take up time talking about things that I like. And in order to pursue that, I try to be informative.
I'm trying to get us some. I'm trying to call in some backup here because we need more. We need more people in here tonight. Of all nights, guys, we need to blow it up tonight because, like John said, he's not strictly a teacher, but that kind of knowledge is a different thing. When you're talking to somebody who teaches all the time, they're setting it up differently than that person who's out there doing it. So we're gonna get into it, John. Just if you could, give us the once over. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, if you want to give us the cliff notes, whatever. But definitely the interest that got you into the business, I guess, would be the best part.
So I'm a formally trained plant scientist, and my background is in plant physiology and also agronomy. I've worked for the last 30 years as a research agronomist, and my specialty is tropical crops. So I'm an expert in tropical fruit crops, and also I'm pretty knowledgeable about temperate fruit crops. I'm pretty knowledgeable about tropical agro systems. And what I focus on is low impact sustainable agriculture. So organic plant production is a very important thing, but I like to look at it as regenerative, but my brand of agriculture is what's called ultra regenerative. So I try to make sure that every process and everything that I do is not only carbon neutral, but carbon negative, meaning the end product of what I do and the products I work with and the systems I design are carbon negative. So that includes the cat getting into his truck and driving to work and building a fire to cook his bologna sandwich and all that stuff. The sum total of all the actions of all the participants, when it's all said and done, the whole shooting match is carbon negative. So that's a tall order to fill. And so people say, well, how in the hell does someone do that? So I've developed all my processes to be plant-based. So currently, I have a grant with the Department of Energy, and we're producing plant-based aviation fuel. So
yes, I can't wait to
as
get
we
into
all
this.
know about plants, that photosynthetic cycle requires the absorption and the sequestration of carbon from the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. And when that puppy's mixed with water in the presence of chlorophyll, we make carbohydrates. And those carbohydrates turn into amino acids and all kinds of things. It becomes the basic building blocks, the basic building units of plant proteins. So when we're pulling carbon out of the air for a product, we're removing carbon from the atmosphere. So if we were to just take that and burn it right afterwards, excuse me here, I'm going to let my dog out.
It's okay.
Boy.
We love dogs around here.
Yeah. So anyways, if we were to just take that carbon and burn it and release it back to the atmosphere, that would be carbon neutral because we're absorbing what we use and then releasing it back to the atmosphere. So what makes it ultra regenerative is the fact that we distribute and deposit a large amount of carbon in the soil profile. And we do that through the process of roots and leaf litter, and also a process which I developed, which is called massive sheet composting, where we take the crop and we chop it and lay it on the ground, and it slowly releases its carbon into the soil cycle. So we don't have to dig trenches and bury it. It slowly is absorbed at the surface where it's turned into biological activity.
So like spreading out the compost.
Exactly. Because like, once again, like back to Star Trek, we're nothing more than carbon-based living units. And that's what every living thing on this planet has in symphony. We're all carbon-based. So if we can increase carbon into the soil cycle, we increase the microbial action, the fungal action. We increase all the biotic factors that are in the soil or in that, that root zone or the rhizosphere. That's what gives us good, healthy soil.
Can I push back a little bit?
Yes, indeed.
So, I didn't. I guess we don't need to get into the full-on like climate discussion, but I from what I know, we actually are at a little bit of a deficit for what our normal is for the planet, which isn't really a normal because obviously it changes a lot. But what I'm getting at is that like we have greenhouses where we're pumping more CO2 into the air. So yeah. I wonder what is the purpose of that you think that we should be not just neutral but ultra, you know what I mean? Is there a reason for that?
Well, okay, so yes, there is a reason, and he's decided he wants to go out for sure now. There we go. So yes, indeed. So it's not because of a global warming or global changing thing, because I mean, this is just my humble opinion, but I think one volcanic event can carbon load the atmosphere in much more than a couple of years in downtown Los Angeles.
And we know that it will. I mean, it does. It will happen. Right?
Historically, it does happen on a regular basis. It's all part of the rock cycle. We have a lot of interesting things that happen, but anyways. So the reason we're doing this is not because we're worried about the atmosphere, removing carbon out of the atmosphere. Okay. It's the sole purpose that to increase the health, the tilth, the vigor, the viability, the productivity of soil.
Yes,
it requires one thing: carbon.
If we not only do the plants
put carbon in the soil,
but they need it in the soil, right? Okay. Yeah.
If we were to put just carbon in the soil biosphere would figure it out and turn that carbon into earthworms,
Good stuff,
fungus,
right?
bacteria, all the things necessary to bring in the secondary things that are important: the phosphorus, the potassium, the calcium, the
Nice.
trace minerals, all that happy horse shit. So, excuse me, all that happy stuff. So, the key component here is increasing soil content in the soil. So, if I could say I'm carbon negative in what I'm doing, the only place where that carbon's going, we're not pumping it into an empty gas well or something.
Right, right.
It's going straight into the soil. And how's that done? Because of agricultural waste, because of the biotic factors of and residues of agriculture. And in the case of me growing these energy grasses, these are perennial grasses. So there's a living root structure that stays below the soil and increases in size every year. And so that is an active source of carbon in itself. And it's a source of carbon that generates more and more every year because it's a living component that's under the soil.
Mm, right.
So,
Is that kind of like the mycelial layers that are kind of
well, okay, so
that spread very far, and
like I'm talking about a plant root itself.
But you're telling me that there is a layer of plant root.
There would
underneath.
be no mycelial growth if there wasn't plant roots.
Okay.
So
Just hearing
because
this?
there's plant roots, the mycelium attaches to the roots, and the mycelium gives the roots moisture, minerals, micronutrients, in turn for the plant giving it carbohydrates. Because remember, the only way that carbohydrates, that sugars are produced, are through plants. And plants are the only thing that produce carbohydrates. So fungus are not plants. Remember, plants have to have chlorophyll. So fungus, they do not have the chlorophyll. They do not have that what's called the components to convert through that photosynthetic process. So the only way they can get that carbohydrates, the building blocks, the proteins necessary for their growth, is through some other form of living tissue or once living tissue. So they made this great connection with the plant world, saying, hey, we'll help you and you help us. And so it's like a symbiotic relationship. And now it's evolved over eons of time that it's an essential connection.
So
it's an essential connection. It supplies connectivity. It supplies communication. It makes sure that the weakest of all the members of that community are given something to sustain. Because the strength of the forest, the strength of these ecosystems, is not just the one individual guy. The strength is determined by the overall strength of the community. And so that's one of the components that mycelium does, is it supplies nutrients where needed. And when one reaches a point to where it senesces, it falls over and dies, it digests that dead material and redistributes it throughout that whole ecosystem. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
It is crazy how it all works. A lot of people are talking, just as an aside, there's a lot of theories that mushrooms aren't really from this planet or whatever. I mean, but they seem to work pretty well, and people think we're not from here, but we adapt pretty well too. So it is interesting though to see that how intricate that connection is, because we think of things as a single thing. Oh, a mushroom, a tree, but really, like, there's a whole lot more going on there. I've got into vermiculture recently, and I've been doing a lot into that. I had the shouts out to those folks from Soil Food. Had them come on as a guest, and we got into it deep on the worm castings. So that was really good too. And so you were telling me about soil remediation, and I guess that's kind of where we're getting to here, because that not only the carbon, adding more carbon back in, but trying to find ways to naturally pull the gunk out, the chemicals or whatever.
So, we're kind of destined to to live with our past failures.
Mm-hmm.
And so, agriculture in the 40s was, if we had a bug or a pest issue, we would put arsenic on it, because arsenic kills a lot of living things. So we put arsenic on the plants, and arsenic really doesn't have an issue with plants. It doesn't harm them. So we use arsenic and DDT and all these very strong, heavy-duty chemicals
Mm-hmm.
that are like these carbon rings that are almost impossible to destroy, and they won't degrade. These benzene ring type compounds, they won't break down. They
Forever
stay.
chemicals, is that the same?
Yes, sort of.
The
But
new
it's a
phrase
certain
we're
class.
using now.
Yeah, it's a certain class of chemicals that they're very persistent in the environment. So, so now that when we go to farm, like most places, like in the Midwest, we're concerned about the heavy metals. We're concerned about the heavy metals because of fertilizer applications. Every fertilizer you buy, it doesn't say it on the package, but if you look closely or you request, it'll give you the information of the heavy metals that are contained. And it's in the parts per million. So it's not really a lot. Unfortunately, year after year after year of application, these things add up.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't leave the environment, it's an accumulative effect. So 10 years not too bad, but now farmland in the Midwest, most of it's been farmed for well over 100 years. There's a large accumulation of zinc, lead, mercury, cadmium, all kinds of these very heavy metals.
Mm-hmm.
So how in the hell are we going to get it out of the soil? You can't sift it out. You can't process the soil. You can't take the top 10, 15 inches of topsoil and take it to a toxic waste.
No.
So here's what we're doing. There's a group of plants that are called bioaccumulators. And so what they do is when they're growing in the environment, they absorb lead, they absorb mercury, they absorb cadmium, they absorb all these heavy metals. They incorporate into the plant tissues, and it becomes mineralized within the plant tissues, and it becomes chelated. So,
Chelated?
Chelated. It's a chemical process. I don't want to really get into too much about the chemistry thing, but
real quick though, just you're on such a roll. I don't want to interrupt, but we got Supercharged Organics in the house, so shouts out to them. Just wanted to give them that shout out. But yeah, no, I love the breakdown of this because I saw this process where they were able to pull silver nitrate out of trees, like somehow.
Yes.
So yeah, let's hear it.
So I'm involved with a couple of companies. It's called phytomining, where we use plants to reclaim heavy metals from toxic soil areas. So basically what happens, these plants are bioaccumulators. They accumulate these things, and then they can be removed and extrapolated from the plants because they've now become concentrated. So basically there's a set of plants that we can grow in contaminated areas that have been toxified, and it will literally remove all these heavy metals. So think of the really, really wonderful things that can be done, like in some of the old mining sites in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
On the Native American reservations where people came in and mined all this stuff, and the talus slopes are all full of lead and mercury. And it's just blowing wild, and it's causing all these disease with the native population. We can plant these plants and it will absorb and accumulate all these things. And we can basically remove them from the soil. So when I talk about this whole process of ultra regenerative, part and parcel is not only pumping carbon into the soil, it's removing toxins from the soil. And then the most important thing is when we put nutrients back into the soil, we're putting things that are organic, that stimulate electron flow, that stimulate ion transfer within the plants, that promotes plant nutrition, but also promotes microbiological life.
Right. So, not just any organic, but like the things that work together. Like you can't just put nitrates and that's it. You got to do the whole recipe, right? The whole recipe.
Exactly. And it's not like you can only just feed the plants. You've got to feed that whole biotic community. So
Real
when you
quick,
think about
John,
fertilizing
you
your
got a
plants,
plug right here, brother. We got a discount with your name on it for everybody in the comments, guys. If you see this chat that's on the screen from Supercharged Organics, hashtag Team Johnny says John is the plug. So if you go to superchargedorganics.com, you can type in John 420 for 10% off
well,
for
there
any
you
of their
go.
products. So
That's a
definitely keep
bonus.
that in mind, guys. I'll try to remind you everybody a little later. Sorry, John. Go ahead, brother.
You know, I'm on a roll with this whole thing here, but
I'm into it for
I
sure.
just want to tell you one thing. You know, the reason why I partnered with the Supercharged folks is because this product is phenomenal, and you know, I don't need no stinking badges. I don't need any of that stuff. I'm a single soul agent. I'm a plant scientist. I try to speak truths through empirical data. And so when I'm talking, I've done numerous trials with this product. And, you know, I've increased THC content in cannabis, like about 15%, very solidly 15%, a little bit more.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to get into that for sure. You guys, listen to this.
I've increased the yields by well over 20%. And I've also increased the terpene, the flavor, that's the flavor component.
Well,
And
we know
I
about
feel
those.
the terpenes are actually more important than THC because there's some very synergistic enhancements with special terpenes in that profile that modify the experience and can make the experience
Different,
exactly. Back in
it.
the 70s, we'd call it change the head. And that's kind of
Oh,
what it does, is it changes the head of the experience. So it tends to be something that's very overpowering and almost sedating, or something that's uplifting and exciting and a breath of fresh air and conducive to possibility thinking and wonder and awe. So there's this whole spectrum. But anyways, the bottom line is this fertilizer is very unique because it has a structure that's very similar to a group of animals called foraminiferas, the sponges. And so it has like a honeycomb shape. The beauty of having a honeycomb shape with the calcium is that there's lots of surface area. So there's lots of sites that the chemical can react with the biotic factors, with the plant life, with all the other different things.
The microbial action, right?
Yes.
So it's a little bit like the aquaponics that I'm into. You want to find a rock or a medium that has a lot of surface area. So it's very similar, but in the soil. Okay.
So the microbes can colonize.
Is that this picture of the thing that's behind me and on the screen there?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little globe there. I don't know if you can bring it up.
Let me move myself a little bit more temporarily. We'll just move this, move that. So yeah, there's
that's what it looks
structure.
Like. Mm-hmm. And so the interesting thing about this damn stuff is it's 60% calcium. So that's a substantial amount of calcium. And it's readily available calcium. Now, typically when we get calcium, we use products like bone meal or fish meal or feather meal, or we use a product called calcium chloride or such. That calcium doesn't come in this form. It doesn't come in this like honeycomb obvious shape. It's more like bony plates. It's very unreactive, and it almost takes an acid to put it into solution. Where this calcium becomes solution in just pure water. It's amazing. So what
it breaks down really well.
Yes, and what it does is it assimilates into the plant tissues almost instantaneously. And so the important, they say, well, okay, well, that's good, it's calcium, but we know we need phosphorus and potassium to make big flower components. That's not necessarily true. So let's look at the architecture of a plant, of any plant, whether it's an apple tree or if it's a dahlia or whatever. The flowering component of that plant, in order to be big and large and have some weight, there has to be some structural integrity with the stem and the roots and all those other things. Here's why. If the flower gets too big, the stem will break off and it'll fall right in the mud. If the flower gets too big during a wind loading event or rain or something like that, it'll just blow right over.
Mm.
So there's a million different ways. If you have a large mass of flowering unit on the plant, it can be detrimental to the plant health. So what the calcium does is the calcium brings silica along with it. And the silica is deposited in the cell walls of the plant. And that silica increases the structural integrity of the plant. It gives it more structure, more scaffold, so it can bear more fruit. So like in the case of coffee, when we use this on coffee plants, it signals the plant, hey, we're awful strong. The branches are real tough. Let's load up on coffee flowers. Let's load up on coffee beans, on cherries. So it's the same process, whether it's coffee, mangoes, papayas, apples, cherries, or cannabis, or big, stinky cannabis buds. It can only hold so much before the plant breaks. The plant realizes, hey, if I grow too much, I'm going to snap off. I'll never fulfill my dream of bearing offspring because I'll die, I'll senesce, right? Excuse me. So with the complement of calcium, we increase the plant's structural integrity, allowing the plant to load up, to load plant matter and be able to sustain it and carry it, not only through a beautiful sunny day, but through heavy wind loading, rainstorms, snow, all kinds of things. And also there's an added benefit when the cell walls are strong and they have structural integrity. They resist fungal penetration.
Oh.
They resist fungal attack. They resist insects with their little probes sticking in there, chewing and sucking insects. Chewing and sucking insects like soft, succulent, juicy stuff.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So when we have a stem and it's solid, it's down, it's got a lot of silica in it, it ruins their mouth parts.
Yeah.
I just think, if you grind all your teeth down because you've been eating silica.
Rocks.
Rocks, yeah, exactly. It's like it's not going to be good for the future. You're not going to be doing a lot of chewing. And it's the same thing with the insects. It can damage your penetration probes. It can destroy the mandible parts, the pointy parts on their mouth that feed their jaws. It plays hell on their little bodies.
So there's a question here, and it kind of brings me to a question I have. JR says, but can this be used with down-to-earth products or Gaia Green? So let's take out the specific brands and say how compatible, because I read on the website where it says this is an additive, but it's also something that can be, let's ask this. Is it a standalone product, or does it go well with all other products, organic?
Okay, I didn't want to turn this show on to be just about Calga.
Well, just that specifically, but we'll move on for sure.
But listen, the product is so freaking amazing that it's an essential component of any growing scenario. So it's just calcium, magnesium. And then it has a full complement of trace minerals. So it has a very important things like selenium or boron. If you're growing tomatoes and you don't have boron in the soil, you'll get these tomatoes called cat face. They have a funny little mark on them. And so they're blemished. So anyways, these trace minerals are very, very important because they're the little levers in the pry bars
Hmm.
that make these chemical reactions happen.
People don't realize how small of an amount that can make a difference when you're missing it, on any of these trace minerals. So it's huge. Well, I just wanted to answer their question and sort of in general.
Let me answer that real quick. So anyways, in essence, the Calga product is an amendment. It's not a substitute for potassium, phosphorus, or nitrogen. So the big three components of plant growth, the NPK, those should be supplied through an organic source from either manures, composts, what have you, or if you're going to use conventional chemical fertilizers like Miracle Grow or whatever, that's how you produce that. But there are no fertilizers available that have this type of calcium. This is derived from a sea plant.
Yeah, so JR said he has been using it with those products he mentioned, and he's got huge growth. Boom.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
So what it is, and not to be the big sales guy or whatever, I came across this product because they says, oh, yeah, I'll try it. Let's see what's going on. As a favor to the founder of the company, Jordan, we'll see what's going on. It looks good, but, they all look good. So what it did was in my greenhouse and in my tests and in the field and in the trials I've used it on, there's substantial data. And I mean, I have imperial data because I do tests and trials for a living. That's what I do. I'm a research agronomist. So this product has empirical proof of its efficacy. So that's the official statement. The shit works. It works unbelievable. And in conjunction, whether you're going to use a chemical fertilizer like Miracle Grow or 888 or CalMag or any of the other things, or all the myriad of chemicals you can use that are conventional, it will work. If it's worked with an organic source of material, it's exceptionally good because, like we say, to use an organic material, you're increasing the carbon cycle in the soil. If you're using chemical fertilizer, you can grow the shit out of your plants. They'll grow really good, but the cumulative effect over time is, it's just like, when you're a kid and you pour salt on a slug to see it wither up.
Well, I didn't do that, John.
Well, no, I'm not, of course, and I wouldn't suggest that you did, but you look at that, it's a salt crystal.
Yes.
We call chemical fertilizers salts because look at it in the bag. They're all crystals. It looks just like salt.
Is that why we call it that? Okay. I thought it just had a high content of sodium in there.
Well, no, and that class is called like halides. But anyways, the thing is this is over time, salt has an accumulative effect on the soil. And it can be measured with that little thing that pot growers use called an EC meter. Your EC, your electroconductivity.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're putting chemical fertilizer down or you're putting salt down, the end result is the same thing: a buildup of salinity, a buildup of salts, a buildup of EC. And I don't care what it is, salt is used as a preservative. Mm-hmm. That's, they put salt in pork so that when you go across the ocean back in the pirate days, you could have salt pork or salt whatever. It's a preservative. It kills all the biotic factors. It does the same thing in the soil. It kills all the biotic factors in the soil. So repetitive use of chemical fertilizers can lead to the eradication of all the biotic factors in the soil profile. And so we understand, we already talked about the importance of mycelium and the connectivity and all the living factors and how they enhance and create this carbon cycle and this ability for electron flow between all the living organisms. And so when we use the chemical fertilizers, we're just reducing those. So I'm not saying that you can't use chemical fertilizers, because that's why we're the most productive agricultural nation in the world, because we've used and developed the use of agricultural chemicals, and we use it very sparingly. so that we don't toxify the soil and so that we have a somewhat sustainable approach. But what I'm saying is if we were to switch and transition to a fully organic system, which we could easily do, it would be much more productive, much more nutritious, and the whole system would be much easier. And we wouldn't have all the added concepts of phytotoxicity of the soil because of the heavy metals being introduced every time we put chemical fertilizers down, or the eradication of soil microbes because of the salinity, or the other thing that's a big factor here is, hey, this is a concept. We all drink water, and a lot of us drink water from wells, and everything we put on the soil eventually goes down, and it eventually reaches the aquifer, and it becomes soluble in the aquifer. So a lot of those heavy chemicals, a lot of those forever chemicals, a lot of those toxic things that were used to during the fracking stages to make natural gas suddenly appear, these chemicals have now made it into the aquifer. So one of our most precious resources, the aquifer, has now been contaminated. So
things we don't even think about too, like birth control pills. Actually, they find that 98% of it does not actually absorb into the body, and it gets peed back into the water system. Things like that, and that actually has effects that we're not, we just don't know yet.
Waylon, I'm telling you something that's very interesting because I worked with the Still-Amish tribe for years and years, and so one of the things that we noticed was that in the area that I live in here, we sample. Oh, the cat's calling on my back. Damn. Whoa.
I used to have a cat. He's in a box now on my fridge, but yeah, he used to do that kind of shit.
This is just a young cat, and he's learning his ropes.
Nice.
He's a good kitty. But so anyways, in the tertiary treatment plant, they sample the water, and they can tell if people are using a lot of fentanyl or cocaine or all these different drugs, or if there's a preponderance of COVID disease. Also, how many people are using birth control, because there's small remnants of it in that tertiary water. And they found when they release that water into the Puget Sound, it's affecting salmon and their ability to reproduce.
Yeah.
So they feel it's one of the components that's contributing to declining salmon spawn throughout the world. So it's amazing that everything counts in small amounts, and there's a cumulative effect, and there's no sort of kind of, it's either very good and positive or it's not very good and positive. It's a distinct line, just like between good and bad. So like I say, I can't bang on chemical fertilizer too much, because like I say, it feeds a lot of people.
Right.
It's the same way I can't bang on Roundup Ready corn, because, it may be a GMO and does a lot of bad stuff, but it's put a lot of food on the table for third world countries who didn't have the ability to grow corn any other way. So it's fed a lot of people. So there's good and bad with every single thing. However, we're mature, sentient beings here. It's time to make the transition to an organic system that's holistic.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, we need to do that.
No matter how long it takes, no matter how many times you go backwards instead of forwards, that should just be the goal, right?
Yes.
Period.
And Waylon, the reason why that is the goal is because all these bad practices have an accumulative effect.
You're borrowing time, or you're what am I just thought of it, but you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul later. And you're just taking you're sucking it all up now, and then you're going to cause more problems for our future generations of farmers. So more or less, keeping it organic all the time is actually less problematic in a lot of ways, like many ways. So yeah.
Come on in here, boy. Go.
Guys, get in on this hashtag. We got 29 people in on it out of the 40 something that are hanging out. Come on down. If you're watching on Rumble, guys, you can still get in on this hashtag from Rumble. Oh yeah, let's do that, guys. Let's get the algorithm tickled. Go to all the locations and you can hashtag this and get yourself more chances to win. Hashtag
Right.
on both Facebook locations, hashtag on both YouTube locations. Go over to X. You can hashtag there. You can hashtag on both Rumble locations. So 7 out of the 8 locations that we're live at, you can go and hashtag and get in some more spots. We definitely want to try to get that ball rolling. Go ahead, John.
Anyways, it's kind of interesting. I just saw a gentleman. His last name was Kelly, and he said something about the comment about Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, as a young agronomist and as a young plant scientist, in order to prepare ground for planting, traditionally, we eradicate all species. Now, I'm telling you about the old John Carroll, not what I think now, because I want everyone to understand something. I came to this wealth of understanding through a long and documented series of failures. My failure resume is probably the most important thing I have. I made every possible failure, every wrong thing. I've done them all already. So when I say this is the reason why you shouldn't do something, it's because, well, I did it that way once, and I found out about the unintended consequences,
Right.
and they weren't good. So anyways, back in the day, I used to use Roundup, and a lot of farmers to this day, before they plant a crop, the first thing to do is they spray the whole entire area with Roundup to eradicate all the weed species. And then they till it, and then they plant, and then that way they have kind of like a clean a slate, a clean playing surface for their plants to grow and not be impeded by weed pressure, because weed pressure steals all your water, steals all your nutrients. It takes a lot of the energy away from the crop. And 80% of the farm enterprise is devoted to weeding. If anyone who has been a farmer or a truck farmer or a vegetable farmer or any of that, they understand what a winged weeder is. They understand what a hula hoe is. They understand what it takes to be on your hands and knees for 8 hours a day, picking and poking weeds. Because basically, in essence, if you're a farmer, you're a weed eradicator. And if you're a conventional farmer, you use chemicals to control it. If you're an organic farmer, you're picking and poking on your hands and knees.
Right.
Or you're using a stick. So the weed control, so it was always a very continuous and constant part of agriculture with Roundup. And that's why we developed this Roundup Ready corn, is so we can go across the field and spray it 3, 4, 5 weeks after we planted it, when all the weeds emerge, and it has no effect on the corn. It only kills the weeds. So we've grown up with this culture where we're surrounded by Roundup. You can't get a box of cornflakes, or you can't go down to buy corn tortillas that have not been exposed to Roundup. Probably 80% of all the corn grown in the Midwest is Roundup Ready corn. And why is that? Because it's so inexpensive to grow it. You plant it and you just go over the top and spray chemicals. You're done.
Yeah.
You come home and your Carhartts, you don't have any mud on the knees. Your hands are clean.
And now they're doing it with drones.
Chemicals.
Don't even have to drive through the field anymore. You're just using drones now to spray.
Exactly. So there's a disparaging difference between chemical control and picking and poking. And so in order to maintain productivity and produce food on a major scale, these chemical control agents are very essential to keep us on the level we are. However, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. And here's the very sad truth about this. We all love organic, and I profess it to be the best, the most wholesome, the best for the soil ecosystem. I fully understand it. But it takes a pile of guys to dedicate their life to farming, to get off their ass and get out there in the field on their hands and knees and pick and poke weeds. And we can do it on 10 acres, we can do it on 20 acres, but wait a minute. Are we planting over 1 million acres of corn?
Probably.
How many guys would it take to keep all that corn weed free?
Well, let me answer that. Let me push back a little bit here because you might see it here. I call myself the indoor farmer, and that's not because I, forsake the outdoors. It's because I definitely want to learn all that too. Because let's be honest, if the supply chains break down, I'm not getting lights, I'm not getting supplies to work on plumbing. Right. There's no electricity, whatever. And so it can be done. You could talk about the Mayans, how they used to actually do like a planting next to the lakes and stuff. But that's beside the point. My point is, I think that we can use greenhouse situations, vertical farming more. At least maybe not with corn. That's one that I think I want to try one day, to grow corn inside. And yeah, maybe it wouldn't get as tall or whatever unless you had like a big building. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to try and experiment with over the years as I do things that do already work, like say microgreens. That's what I'm actually going to be doing to make the money. But I want to hear what your thoughts are on, obviously the sun is a big factor. I hear a lot of people say that. So if we say have a greenhouse with soil that we bring in from outside and you regulate it and all the things, do you think that would be a way maybe in the future that it could be done? Because then there's no weeding, right?
Okay, well, listen, I'm going to tell you now from the scientific John Carroll. Okay, so greenhouses are not as passive as we think. When the sun goes down without heating, if the temperature dips down to 32 degrees, the inside of the greenhouse is 32 degrees. If the sun comes up and the greenhouse is closed, the doors are closed, the windows are closed, there's no ventilation running,
it stays cold.
The temperature swings up to 130 degrees. So if you have a greenhouse and it's all closed and the sun comes out, and I don't care if you're in Alaska or if you're in Southern California, the solar gain on that greenhouse will bring the temperature so high that it will kill every living thing inside the greenhouse. It'll damn near sterilize your soil. It'll pasteurize it. It'll almost pasteurize it.
Right. So what about ventilation and, it's controlled and.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's look at the greenhouse. It's not as passive as we think. It requires some inputs for cooling, for ventilation. And also, if we want to maintain a consistent temperature, we have to have a heat source. And so that's just the greenhouse. So what we've eliminated is a source for auxiliary light. Now, if we're growing something indoors, it's all the same components. We need the heat, the ventilation, the airflow, the humidity, all that. We also need to produce light. And so, of course, we've got very low cost, very efficient ways of producing light with LEDs and such. But these are all inputs. So the more structured we design our agricultural system, the greater the inputs. And if it gets to a point where we're feeding our family and our neighbors, that's a certain amount of inputs. But if we're feeding the community, it's a quantum leap between 10 people and 1,000 people. And so the amount of corn we could grow in one 30 by 100 foot greenhouse, which is a 3,000 square foot greenhouse, is pretty good. Well, let's just do the math on that. Corn is grown on 3 foot rows, and they're 1 foot apart. So 3 times 1, so that's 3 square foot. So we can only grow 1,000 to 1,500 ears of corn in a 30 by 100 foot greenhouse. So if we're trying to feed 1,000 people, it's good enough for one big corn fry.
Well, hold on though.
1,000 people.
You're discounting the fact that you could use it all year long versus the seasons. You would be avoiding floods and droughts that are external. Locust swarms, whatever. Like there's all.
Oh yes, indeed. And you can exclude pests and disease. You can exclude.
If you do everything right.
Oh
right,
yes.
Right. If everything's dialed in, and so my idea is like, at night, during the day, like 24 hours a day, 27, 12 months a year, you could maybe come out and not only that, but I'm thinking like a Starbucks, put one of these on every corner in every,
Oh hell yes!
town,
Oh hell yes! And listen,
and then you could do it.
so you're very familiar with aquaculture, and so you know how to grow plants using a float bed, and using
Sure.
fish as a source of nutrients and as a source of fertilizer. So we can do these things, and we can grow them on tiers and use these float trays. And there's a lot of systems that are very effective. We can produce a sustainable amount of microgreens, of leafy greens,
Mm-hmm.
of plants and plant tissues that take between 20 and 30 days to come to fruition. When it comes to big, heavy producers like corn, now these corn plants, they can grow 4 to 6 to 8 feet tall. They
Mm-hmm.
produce 1.5 ears of corn per plant, and each plant takes up approximately 3 square feet. And an early corn will, from start to finish, will take up 72 days.
Wow. Wait,
So
wait. An ear and a half on average per stalk?
72 days for.
No, I know, but no, I'm sorry. Before that, you said an ear and a half.
Yeah, an ear and a half.
That seems like very low.
Yes, some corn varieties. I've grown corn varieties. There's one that's called Seneca Dancer. It's from upstate New York. It'll produce 3 ears, and they'll be really nice. Then sometimes I've grown this variety called Golden Jubilee Super Sweet. It's 110-day corn, and in my environment here, not every year will I finish that corn.
Huh.
It may turn, the weather may turn to shit on me, and I may, oh my gosh, I only needed another 2 weeks to finish the corn.
Mm.
So instead of getting that really super sweet, milky, juicy corn, the kernels are hard and tough. And it's corn, and you can brag about it and have your buddies over and drink some beer and eat some corn, but it's not the real bonus corn that we all know and love. So the bottom line is when we're using a greenhouse and when we're using an integrated system, we have to be mindful about 2 things: light requirements and the cropping cycle, the duration of the cropping cycle. We could produce spinach in 30 days. We could produce radish in 22 days. We can produce microgreens, like sprouted greens, sprouted seeds. We could produce that in 10 days. Mm-hmm. Super nutritious. So in reality, it's an algebraic equation. Square foot of space required, amount of sun intensity, the nutritional requirements, the days till harvest, and the nutritional value.
That's a big one.
And of course, that's why we're growing this stuff, is because we want wholesome, nutritious things. But so anyways, the point of what I'm saying here is we've been blessed with this beautiful environment where in the middle of summer, we've got 55-degree nights and 70, 80-degree days. And we've got this beautiful soil with this living ecosystem that we can manage and take care of and do a lot of work to keep it healthy and fresh and alive and vigorous. And we can grow very nutritious crops, bountiful nutritional crops with a minimal of labor. And in order to produce the amount of food that we need in these days, it's required to do these large scale plantings, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a boatload of people floating around in the United States today and throughout the planet. And 3 years from now, there's going to be a hell of a lot more.
But I don't like it, John. I don't like that we want to feed the masses with corn, wheat, even rice, soybeans. Like those are the subsidized crops, and those are not. Yeah. Those are it's just feed. It's human feed. It's not even nutrition.
I agree with you. And we both know that probably the most nutritional thing we could be doing is growing microgreens and growing certain forms of algae like spirulina and possibly
algae is like a supplement you can take now, right?
yeah, and aquaculture and eating tilapia. And I mean, there's a lot of things we can do that are more dynamic, more microdynamic, have a
little
lower
diversity,
impact.
yeah, a little bit of change up, yeah, a little.
Yeah,
little
and
bit of,
you know that equation I talked about earlier about size, length of time to fruition for the crop,
right.
nutritional value, sun input, and all those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we manage those things correctly, we can do everything indoors, and we can feed a multitude of people indoors. And I've seen these little small greenhouses where you have to rely on artificial lights because there's so many plants tucked in there. And you can actually create enough energy using solar panels on the skin of the greenhouse to run these LEDs, and you can have them stacked so that you can have growing tiers on like Costco racks, six layered tiers of trays of microgreens.
Right.
And the food value produced one of those, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It really is.
So
and
it can be done. It can be
yeah.
done. It's not for the intrepid. It's not for the lighthearted. It takes some skill because back in the hippie days, we'd grow sprouts, and every third or fourth batch, it was like, oh wow, these things taste bad. And we used to see a lot of sprouts on the market, at the health food stores and stuff. You don't see them very much, and the reason being is because there was salmonella contamination.
Well, sprouts are different than microgreens, and I was told the same thing when I insured my business. They told me I cannot grow sprouts. I explained to them I'm going to grow microgreens and how it's different, and they said if I grew sprouts, it would void my insurance because of what you just said, which is just insane to me. It's like,
but you understand, like for the small farm home producer, if you have 10 quart mason jars, and you've got sprouts started every day, you could literally supply all the nutritional needs of your family just from those damn sprouts, from a quart of sprouted grains.
I'd like to try them sometime, but now I'm stuck. So,
but I understand. But at any rate, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of things that can happen, and like I say, it's not going to go anywhere unless unless we maintain good, healthy soil and good organic soil practices. It's a cumulative effect, and over time.
I like the term soil remediation, but I kind of got into an argument with somebody one time. We were like on different pages, because what I was trying to say was I think there's a lot of indoor farming that can be done in places of the world where people don't want to live, like where we wouldn't have to, plow a bunch of forestry or whatever. There are places that we just don't want to be, where we could build big factories and build, like you said, microgreens or whatever. But his thing was like, no, we need to remediate the soil. I'm like, well, can't we do both? Like, can't we do a little bit of both? Like, I think there's a room for supplemental on both sides. And,
Waylon, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Yeah. Cheryl, there's a hawk right here, and we got the kitty outside.
Oh, snap. Yeah. It's that kitty.
We got a big old hawk in our backyard.
Yeah, oh, snap.
And you're out in the small little kitties out there.
Kitty's going to get them. Ow.
Yeah.
I saw it. Went around the back.
Sorry,
I think I just heard it. I heard it a little bit. Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's life on the big farm here. We got interaction with animals, and
that's something that people don't think about. Like, it's not just gardening. If you live out in the country, like, you got to know a little bit about what's going on in the woods and in the around you.
It's just like we could take a little jaunt. We live on the river here. We could take a little jaunt out into the river, but if you do it at night, you risk the chance of having a cougar bite your ass.
Oh, snap!
Or running across a bear. So it's like, it's mildly exciting out here. We think that, it's all peaceful being out in the wilderness and everything. It's like, there's some heavy shit going on out here. And everybody's trying to eat everybody.
Right. Not so many people, so it doesn't seem busy, but there's still a lot going on. Like, there's a ton of things happening right around you.
Sure. But anyways, this whole concept of regenerative and ultra regenerative agriculture and just growing things in general, people are becoming more and more aware of the concepts and of how important. There's that cat. He's still good.
Nice.
Anyways, people are understanding the importance of moving back to our more traditional forms of agriculture. And then you would refer to it like talking about the ancient Mayans and how they produce these massive amounts of food.
Yeah, they did
Very
aquaponics.
well-established civilization.
Well, plus not only the aquaponics, but we know now that the entire Brazilian rainforest was man-made. Like they created the biochar, which is actually, that's a good segue to the Foop. Foop has actually created their own biochar that's now inoculated, because that was one of the problems with biochar, because it would actually absorb some of the nutrients. And so now they've inoculated it, pre-inoculated it, and now I haven't got to try some yet, but I can't wait to give that a try. So that biochar stuff sounds really good.
Well, I will tell you. So the interesting thing about biochar is if you look at a piece of biochar and you look at its very, very porous nature, it's very similar to one of these little calca balls, these little crystals of the calcium. And so what happens is because of its surface area, it's very reactive. It goes into solution quick, but also it's a substrate for other living organisms.
That's
so
big.
yeah,
all
so
your
it
other
really
microbials.
promotes this microbial activity. And remember, here's the funny thing. Before a nutrient becomes available to the plant, it has to be rendered available through microbial action.
Right. It's converted through
Some
the
organism other than the plant has converted that into a usable form for the plant. So if we have sterile media and we don't have the right, we don't have the nutrients, the right biological organisms in the soil, the nutrients we use are unavailable. So that's why people like to use chemical fertilizers like Miracle-Gro, because it's water soluble and it's damn near readily available to the plant. But it's also pure salt, and it's also
you're skipping.
very
Okay.
harmful.
That sounds like a shortcut that we took a long time ago, and it's coming back at us now.
Exactly. And you can write Miracle-Gro and ask them, well, what percentage of heavy metals does your product have? You'll be surprised.
Ooh.
You'll be surprised.
When you say heavy metals, I want to point out to people out there, especially people coming in now, your plant definitely needs metals, but the heavy metals is a different thing. Like you need copper and iron and stuff, but in a very small amounts. The heavy metals are kind of a term that's used for a lot of other chemicals and different things that we don't want in the soil. Just to be clear with everyone, guys. Real quick, we're going to be doing this spin here soon, and I would like to put it out there one more time. You're free to go and hashtag this Foop50 hashtag on all the locations that we're live, because that will help us out with the algorithm. It helps get it moving, helps get the likes and the comments going. But so yeah, definitely make sure that if you want to get this $50 towards Foop, which could get you some of that, check out some of their biochar, which I see some people saying they were wanting to try. Derek says he wants to try. And speaking of the biochar at Foop, even without the $50 coupon, you guys can also use the discount code. I believe it's GrowFam10. If you want to use the discount code, hit me up in the DMs and we'll make sure that's the correct code. It's just what's floating in my head at the moment. So we'll definitely get you a discount if you guys want to check it out. But this here gift card is going to be for $50 on their website. So definitely go to all the locations that we're live, guys. Two Facebooks, 2 YouTubes, 2 Rumbles, and on X, which is used to be Twitter. So you're free to go to all those locations and hashtag, hit that like button if you can, please. Really appreciate it. So do you have any other passions, John? Do you have any? Do you hunt? Do you do anything? You got to hunt out there, don't you?
No, you know what? I used to do that, and I hate to say this, but I become I don't hate to say it, but I become a real pacifist now. I try not to kill slugs. I try not to kill insects. Traditionally, I trap about 30 to 35 moles in my yard every year. And it's like, now I've got an attitude, screw that. They've got a right to live too. So I got this different attitude where everything's got a right to live. Everything's got a right to be on the face of this planet. And so part of my thing of being low key, low impact, and sustainable is don't cause harm to others. You can talk, you can tell people the way you think things should be and all that, but you got to stop there.
Yeah.
You can't force them.
Yes.
You can't lead a horse to water. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yes, that's very true.
You can tell them through experience, like the reason why I'm missing this finger is because I got it too close to the axe when I was chopping wood. That's as good as you can get.
Right.
So,
that's actually what I do on Thursdays, tomorrow night. And, real quick, I'll just tell you, I told you before the show that everything I do is about sustainability. Well, on Thursdays, it's an open forum where we come up with different common topics. And what the whole point is to get people to share their experience on the topic for exactly what you're saying there is because I try not to get into arguments over what we think and our opinions, but we can stop and say, hey, well, this is what I've actually experienced with this topic. Now, you tell me what you have. So it's exactly that point is because, you got to be able to stop it.
And Waylon, I've had a lot of experiences. I'm 72 years old, so there's a lot of experiences under my belt. I'm creating new experiences every day. I'm currently involved with very interesting scientific projects. Like I say, I'm involved with the Department of Energy doing projects creating aviation fuel from plants and just a lot of different things. So I'm continually making mistakes. I'm continually seeing how broken I am and how unintelligent I am. And I'm witnessing it through the mistakes I make. So,
staying humble, but not like self-deprecating. Right?
Yeah. It's like, listen, I talk a big story, but listen, the amount I know versus the amount I don't know, the more I learn, the more I realize, Jesus, I don't know shit.
Right. Stay teachable. That's what I try to be, man. I try to just be curious, teachable. Like, I like to learn. I like to prove me wrong. Let's do it. Tell me where we can find the proof.
Yep.
That's the problem though.
And in my old age, I'm finding the most important thing that I have is my spiritual house. When you deal with plants and you realize there's all these intricate cycles, it's a microcosm of the most perfect universe. And the beauty of this is these plants will not escape. They stand for inspection.
Right.
So you can hover over them with a magnifying glass and look at them every day, pick them and prod them and poke them. And as long as you don't harm them, they'll be there tomorrow to observe. So they're there for casual observance. And casual observance leads to coming up with a new thought, a new concept. And as we build these concepts, we realize that the intricate beauty of plants and how they relate to their biotic factors, it doesn't almost border on a spiritual concept. It is. And it's so amazing, the connectivity and the complexity of these living organisms, that it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I don't want to really get into it, but it's a reflection on the spiritual world, and that obviously there's something really big going on.
The design, the connection, the energy, all of it, grounding, Aurora Borealis, who knows? Like, it's all so big that we aren't even close.
It's some heavy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. It's back in the 70s, I used to say, wow, we're just looking for some beautiful people. Well, you know what? There's a lot of beautiful people out there, but there's some beautiful concepts. And there's some beautiful spirituality out there. And so what we really want is we want to be connected to that. And I think that's where our real enlightenment comes is through that spiritual house. And that gives us insight in terms of what's practical, what's workable in the natural world. And so obviously, if we're taking biochar and we're working it into the soil, it seems much more holistic, much more spiritually connected than going to Home Depot and buying a bag of 1616 and throwing it all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to strive for that spiritual connection, but we have to do things in a meaningful, mindful manner in hopes that spiritual connectivity comes our way.
It does. You start to feel it more as you get closer to it yourself, because like you're out there just I don't have a garden, but if you're outside in the garden, I don't have space for garden, but you feel that sort of connection to earth. You're out there, yeah, I can totally get it. I'd love to go out and do things outside when I can. And you can tell the difference when you're away from all the non-natural stuff.
Sure.
But I want to go back a little bit to
Certainly.
when you were saying how we need to, and some other people were agreeing that we need to kind of move back towards the older ways as far as
yes,
natural methods. I want to disagree a little bit.
Okay.
And I actually only kind of partially, because I agree. While I agree in some ways, I also think that we could combine, like I had told you earlier, I combine things. Combine the old ways and the new ways. So if we can find ways to use, so for instance, I'll just give you a snippet of one of my ideas. Is eventually my farm is going to be kind of like a living grocery store, and I'd love to have a gym inside there. And this gym will pay its members to ride the bike or whatever and pump water to a water tower that then feeds the system, and it's all in a big loop. And actually you could create a power generation system.
Sweet. I like that idea.
Yeah. And off of incentive, not off of force, but hey, John, you go to the gym already over here and you pay $10, come to my gym. You pay the same $10 until you go, like whatever the measurement is, you've generated this much water or electricity, then your membership's free. And then we start paying you a little bit of a percentage of and so now you're getting paid to go to the gym. So now you're working off of incentive on so many different angles on people that would go or should go or do go. And now they're going to go and do it there. And so little things like that, I think we can combine, because what it was is the old way was a lot more physical labor, right? Well, we all need physical labor. We can't just get rid of that. We need physical labor. We need exercise. So why not combine the two? I'm getting chills telling you this idea, but like, why not combine the two in a way that we can benefit in a new way? Not like the old way, running our fingers to the bone, working the hand tools. Let's still use electricity, but let's produce it in a way that we already need to do things anyway. So it's
fantastic. It's fantastic. So let me give you a little story. Back in the early 80s, I lived in Puna on the Big Island in this little subdivision called Fern Forest. So we had no electricity. This was off grid. So we collected rainfall on a tin roof and captured it in a tank. We produced our own electricity by using photovoltaics, or by using a generator, or just by not having electricity. Now, my friend down the road, he lived a couple miles down. He had a couple of kids, and they wanted to watch videos. And the father didn't want to start the generator just so the kids could watch TV. So what he did was he rigged up these bikes to where they spun an alternator, and it was like a 90-watt alternator off an ambulance. And this was back when Radio Shack was around.
Nice.
And so he had an inverter that would convert, DC energy into 110. And he ran a VCR, and he ran one of these little small color TVs, little 6-inch screen for Radio Shack, 12 volt. So he'd have his kids, he had 2 bikes set up. He'd have his kids running, riding the bike to generate the electricity. And because there was 2 of them, if one decided to stop because they wanted to do something else or go to the bathroom, whatever, the other was still pumping. So the residual was charging a 12-volt battery. And they could actually ride the bike for like 15 minutes and watch TV for like 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
So
I've
in
seen that
essence,
with water.
you can measure this. You can measure this in watts produced, and you can actually measure your physical workout in the amount of watts you generated.
That's what I want to do. Yeah, I want
Because
to. I
it's
want to see
equivalent
this.
to calories or kilocalories,
Yes,
expended energy.
I want an app, that's showing you how much you made, how much green energy you produced this month or this week, and also like have it up on the wall and have it like a competition. And eventually, I'm gonna get like big athletes involved, big celebrities involved, and do this. You know how they do like the celebrity match or a game or whatever, and they give it away. It's a charity. You would have all these big celebrities competing on this like sort of grand scale and how much green energy they can produce in the gym or whatever. Like it just make it a whole thing.
We got these things called Pelotons.
Yeah.
And everybody has them, and they're all connected through the internet. It would be so easy to make the resistance device as an electrical generating device.
Now they have those. Now I'm worried about the electricity. I like the idea. For me, now to your point, you could do this on. You can already buy one for your home if you guys want to go out. You can buy. I think China makes one that you can generate electricity on a bike. Well, for me, the aquaponics system and it being inside of a building, a large scale, is already going to be a circulation of water. So I'm going to use every method inside of that without the human exercise to generate electricity. So imagine the fish, the gravity of the water going from the high point back to the low point. You can run generators. The fish actually never stop moving either. So you can actually have surface area tension. Anyway, we're getting way off topic, but yeah, it's exciting because it's like there's so many things you can combine. You combine a little solar, a little wind, a little exercise, a little plant-based energy. There's a way back to the plants. There's a way to find, or maybe you've seen this, and this gets me really excited. They can stick copper wiring down into the root system of a tree, and there is an excess of energy being produced in that conversion process of nutrients. And they were able to charge a cell phone. I don't know how fast or how many volts they were getting, but just from the root system of a tree. So imagine a whole system of trees grown in a grove, or like even use the fruit trees, because then you get a fruit out of it as well, and then you get electricity. It's like anyway. I'll stop.
So, anyways, I'm going to comment real quick on that.
Sure.
So I had another friend in Pune. He had a Myers lime tree, and he would take these copper strips and stick them into the fruit of the Myers lime. He had them connected in series, and it would literally run a light, a 12-volt light. So there's enough electrical potential with the acidic batteries and the copper plates to cause an electron flow. That's all electricity is. So that's one very basic way of getting energy from plants. Here's another very interesting plant. There's a tree that grows in Brazil in the rainforest. And when you tap that tree and the fluids come out, the fluids are what are called sesquiterpenes, which meaning it's an analog of diesel fuel. And you can literally take that sap from that tree and put it right into your diesel engine and it will run.
What?
Yeah. So just type in diesel producing trees. And
going.
Very, very interesting. So, these are tropical and subtropical trees, but I did the calculations once, and this was a long, long time ago, but 1 acre of trees planted on 25-foot centers could produce enough fuel for it could produce, I think it was like 900 liters. So it's not a substantial amount, but if you're driving a Volkswagen diesel Rabbit that got 53 miles to a gallon of diesel, it would be something.
That is, I always think of like ways we could produce fuel. We don't need to necessarily put into cars if we could just produce the electricity somewhere else. And as the electrical cars become better, I'm not saying I love them or anything, but it seems like that's the way it's going anyway. So if we can use, and actually I wanted to bring it back to the fuel thing, because you're into making the fuel out of plants. what about hemp-based fuel? Like, what if could we use hemp oil to make
Well,
a fuel?
hemp is, you can take hemp seed. Typically, what I found, the best seed production I get from an acre of hemp, this is the best place I found that grows hemp is in not the Methow Valley, but the Willamette Valley in Central Oregon. It produces the highest yields, and it's very interesting. Yeah, I think that's the tree we're talking about right there.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull that up for everybody. If you see
Yeah,
that,
the other
guys.
one is a jatropha, and it's an oil seed. This is actually the sap from the tree.
Yes,
So
that's
it's
different
very
than
interesting.
using seed oil. Right, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Very
but
cool.
anyway, so the largest yield of seeds I've ever had per acre is about 3,000 pounds of seed per acre. Okay, that's with industrial hemp, and that's with the grain producing industrial hemp. It's a cultivar that comes from Italy. And out of that, the highest oil content, I think, is like 28%. So the essence is this is, you can produce a substantial amount of oil where you just press the oil out, run it through a filter, and it goes right into a diesel, and it will work fine. But the yields are not as much when we compare it to taking plant matter.
Right.
And so let's look at this. What is diesel? Well, diesel is long chain hydrocarbons, right? Hydrogen and carbon stuck together, long chains.
The good stuff.
Yep. So we can take plant matter, we can gasify that plant matter, and then we can use a thing called fractional distillation and recombine it and actually turn it into a biobutanol or a biodiesel, or nothing more than long chain hydrocarbons, liquid fuel.
Okay, so but let me slow you down for a sec. So when let's take corn for example, that's what you're using in like the E85. Is that ethanol? Is that is that closer to an alcohol than a diesel
Yes.
fuel?
So
Okay.
there's 3 ways to extrapolate. Well, there's much more, but we're talking about liquid fuels, liquid biofuels.
Right. Sure.
There's 3 methodologies. One is corn. You take the corn, you put it in a still, you ferment it, you distill it, and you have alcohol. So that's through fermentation. The second method is you take the seed, you squeeze it, you extract the oil. The oil is a drop-in replacement for diesel. Okay. The third method is called gasification. It's a process called the Fischer-Tropsch. It was invented just after World War II. And basically what it is you gasify plant matter and then you recombine it. When you gasify plant matter, you've got hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. You got all kinds of molecules that are given off. So then you recombine those molecules to make hydrocarbons.
I see. And
then when you make these hydrocarbons, you refine them. And so you make this biobutanol, you further refine it so that you have kerosene.
Oh.
And then you modify that kerosene and now you have jet fuel, you have aviation fuel.
So did you start at kerosene and try to create something more pure, or did you start at corn?
No, we started at the crude like a biobutanol.
I see.
Then through further distillation, we refined it into diesel fuel, sesquiterpenes, into kerosene.
Did you know you were going to take those, that it was going to hit those next couple of chains, the kerosene at least?
Well, we did because of other scientists prior who invented the technology. And you got to remember, science is nothing more than stumbling on over something, getting a hunch, stumbling over something. And then the reason why you understand that you stumbled over something is because you take meticulous notes.
Mm-hmm.
And you refer back to your notes. You say, now, wait a minute. The last time I did this, This is not what happened. So that's all it is. It's just dumb luck and good note-taking skills. So
Yeah,
this
it's
was
not a
done.
religion to be believed. It's a thing to be tested and tested and tested and tested and always poked at and always questioned.
Yes.
And yes, yeah.
So this is technology that you can do a web search, and you can read about gasification, and it's commonplace, and there's lots of people who are doing it. And so the holy grail is to have a liquid aviation fuel substitute that costs less than $3 a gallon.
That's
Now
the
we
other.
can make all kinds of stuff, and it costs $60, $70, $80 a gallon. So where my research is we're focusing on making sustainable aviation fuel plant-based for under $3 a gallon.
That's blowing my mind because that has so many ramifications that you might be about to tell me. But just for one thing alone, guys, think about this. First of all, my mind went here. My mind went to, can I put that in my car? And I thought, no. Then my mind went to, hold on a second. If he's saving all of that fuel from our tanks and jets and everything that runs on fuel in the military, for sure, let alone the private sector. But if you're able to find a way to cut that cost, I mean, I was in the military. I drove 18 wheelers. I was also a diesel engine generator mechanic was the first one. But the other thing is, we hauled fuel and we spilled it everywhere by accident. When we got shot, it blew, there'd be a hole in the tank or whatever, and it's just going everywhere. And, knowing about JP8 and how expensive it is just the insanity of how much it costs to drive a tank a few miles. Like,
yeah, and a shout out to you. God bless you for your military service. You're a patriot and a true American. I appreciate that. Let me tell you the bigger ramifications of producing sustainable fuels through plant-based things. So it'd be cool to have a $3 gallon of diesel and have it all organic and all that happy horse shit. Here's the real importance. Every day our population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Land-based in agriculture is becoming a commodity, and it's being chopped up. It's being bought by foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
They're building housing and strip malls and all kinds of weird things. Our arable, tillable agricultural land is diminishing faster than the rainforest. Now, we're embarking on these low-impact, sustainable, carbon-negative methods to make energy. And we know how to do it, and we can do it. And it's just a matter of time of getting the public, manufacturing positive consent with the public, that they're willing to overthrow the big oil companies so we can let this new generation of plant scientists come in and start making plant-based fuels. As it is, well, and you can go down and you can buy 100 gallons of diesel right now, stick a piece of plastic in the machine and drive off. No problem, no hoo-hoo. The guy who's delivering it to the gas station, he's got trucks. There's big, huge tank farms with millions of gallons in reserve. We talk about shortages of this and shortages of that. Dude, it's readily available. It's a commercial and viable commodity. So to change that for something that's unknown, come on now, dude. So there's a lot of reluctancy to go to a plant-based system.
Well, we've had a little bit of move with the E85.
We
right?
have, but I'm just going to tell you the long and short of it is the E85. It takes more energy to make a gallon of ethanol.
Yeah.
More energy in versus energy out. It takes more energy to make a gallon of ethanol than the energy you get when you burn it.
Okay.
So what it is heavily subsidized.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
That's what I don't
real,
like. Yeah.
it's a real crock of shit.
Let's let science show us which way
Exactly.
the best way to go, not to subsidize it.
Let's
Like,
let
for instance,
mathematics will show us the way.
Well, and
You do
even
the
further,
calculations.
thinking about like our vehicles and electrical vehicles, that was subsidized. So I can't even have a real opinion on whether those might even be viable because we can't know whether what the real cost is because we are subsidizing it.
Well,
And so we don't know.
being the consummate smartass that I am, I'm going to tell you, Elon Musk came up with this great idea with electric cars and all that. It's just a placeholder. The
Yeah.
the ecological footprint of mining all that lithium, and then the
Precious metal.
devastation of when we have these lithium batteries that really can't be recycled, we will take a long time to recuperate from that. Now, battery and lithium technology is not what's going to power us into the coming centuries. We are going to be based a hydrogen-based economy.
Yes, hydrogen
All our
fuel.
energy systems are going to be hydrogen. Excuse me. The only waste product we're going to leave behind is pure water and carbon dioxide.
Well, let me ask you real quick: is it water like distilled water at that point with nothing in it? Not
it's
like
just H2O with nothing else.
So it wouldn't be like distilled water, for instance, is not something you want to drink. You don't want to put it in the fish tank. So wouldn't I'm wondering
you could because
you have to add minerals to it.
Yeah,
right?
distilled water is a beautiful solvent.
Right.
So let's say you consume some toxicities. One of the best things you can do is drink activated charcoal mixed with distilled water.
Oh, okay. I've heard that.
It will absorb all that stuff right out of you.
Okay. Well, so to the hydrogen fuel, before you go further on that, have you heard of graphene?
Yes.
So that's another thing, especially if we're trying to sort of carbon sequestration. But if we do more of what you're doing, which is a different way of using the carbon, then either way, I guess we're using the carbon. But I think putting it back in the soil might end up being better. And to that, I actually have another question because we've been having this. I think it's kind of a facade. I don't know what's happening here. Our government is like certain states are making deals with other states in order to pipe their carbon to their state and like put it underground. Like that is not the process you're talking about as far as helping the ground, right?
There's a thing called carbon credits, and it's not real big in the U.S., but I've got clients in Australia and in Europe. Carbon credits are a very, very important thing. And so using my technology, it sequesters more carbon in a very natural and meaningful way than any of the other methods. And it's very low cost, extremely low cost. So carbon sequestration is a very important thing. Now, once again, I'm not doing it to take the carbon out of the atmosphere because I think of global warming. I'm doing it to take carbon out of the atmosphere because that's what makes living soil is carbon.
Right.
So let me get back to my original rant here. So anyways, I'm sorry, Waylon. It's when you get me spun, it's I'm a tough cookie. But anyways, here's the deal. So we have this plant-based system. And in essence, what we're doing is we're using plants to produce hydrogen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the plants, we're going to put them in an anaerobic digester. We're going to skip the biofuels. We're going to skip all that shit.
Okay.
We're going to make some biofuels for aviation and for some equipment that requires a lot of condensed energy. But for the most part, we're going to put it in an anaerobic digester. It's going to generate methane. We're going to burn that methane in a turbine, and it's going to be completely clean. And it's only going to give off carbon dioxide and moisture when it's burned, just like hydrogen.
Yeah.
And it's going to spin a turbine, and that turbine is going to be used through electrolysis to make hydrogen. And we're going to take that hydrogen and we're going to clean it and condense it and liquefy it. And that's going to be used for a liquid fuel for automotive. And so what happens is, we have these anaerobic digestion operations that could make maybe anywhere from 6 to 50 megawatts of power. 1 megawatt can run about 1,000 homes. So we have these systems that 200 acres of an energy grass can produce 1 megawatt. So we have tons and tons and tons of acres available. And a
And
lot
you
of
said
these
this
energy
is
grasses, a lot of these
sorry.
energy grasses will grow on marginal soil. So we're not using top cropland. We're just using
Okay.
like scrub lands.
Did we talk about the grasses during the live? I mean, you might have said it beforehand, but this is the grasses is the main thing you're working on, right? Isn't that one of the biggest things?
Yes, we have these grasses that can produce up to 200 tons per acre per year. It's phenomenal. The grass grows 20, 30 feet in 1 year, produces so much biomass, produces more biomass than any other plant tissue, whether it
More
be
than hemp.
poplars or
That's crazy.
hemp or anything. Yeah.
I thought cannabis and hemp was going to be the savior for the fuel and stuff and everything, but it
So
sounds
real
like
quickly, here's the problem with cannabis is it has to be replanted every year.
right.
Number two, it's biomass. The massive amount, the most you could get per acre per year of biomass growing hemp is about maybe 12 to 20 tons. So this other crop we're looking at 200 tons. So substantially more.
I see.
Hemp is very hard to handle because it's very stringy. It's very tough and fibrous.
There's more processing to be done.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can use it for other things, but to your point, yeah, if you're just trying to go after that golden goat of that extra, gotcha.
The mechanized components necessary to harvest hemp, that hemp is a tough mofo, and it gums up all the machinery. And it's like running a lawnmower over a bunch of polytwine. It gets all tangled up on all the blades and everything, and you got to get out
thought
there.
About that with hempcrete. Hempcrete is really cool, but to your point, there's probably a difficulty getting that ground up.
There's some difficulty in processing the fibers, but it makes an excellent structural amendment for concrete.
Sure. Well,
so anyways, I'm going to finish.
Sorry, John.
We
need to do this giveaway. We're an hour and 42 minutes in.
Waylon, let me do this. I'm going to wrap it up in 1 minute.
No problem.
So the reason why we want to grow these grasses and we want to make these plant-based energy systems, because in about 20 or 30 years, we're going to come across with either fission or fusion, and it's going to produce all the electricity we'll ever need, and it's going to be a safe and meaningful way. But by then, what's going to be the most important component that we need? Agricultural land. Because now food security is going to be our biggest issue. If we don't have enough agricultural land available to support life, we're going to be shit up a creek. So
vertical farming, John. Vertical farming.
Well, it is, but it's going to be an integrated approach with ag land, vertical farming, small guys producing stuff on a local basis.
Maybe some terraforming stuff. We've got swamps and like in different marshlands that we don't like that aren't so good for living. Like what is that? The up at the Anwar, like where we found out there's really not much wildlife in that area. Like you could maybe do something, and maybe not there, but you get my drift. Like there's ways to terraform and change a little bit.
Oh, deserts. Of course.
Not that we want to get rid of deserts, but and I don't like it. I don't like the fact that we have to tear down so much rainforest or even forest at all. I don't like that that growing the more farmland actually displaces whole ecosystems. So I think there's got to be a happy medium to your point. But
and we just need to maintain the agricultural land we have now.
Yes, if you do that,
it doesn't get turned into strip malls. Because, like I say, 50 years from now, when our kids are adults, older, they're going to wish that we had more agricultural land because a bag of carrots are going to be very expensive. We're going to find out that food commodities are what sustain us, and that's going to have the highest value.
That's what I keep trying to tell these folks over here at on the Grow Fam on Wednesdays. I know there's some people that get sick of me talking about agriculture, and but the thing is, like that's you got to watch what's happening with our food, man. And I think that there's a lot of ways where we can improve things, and that's really one of the reasons I'm out here trying to be public about this is to try to make it something that we think about more.
It goes like this. The most important thing we have is our spiritual connection. The next thing is the air we breathe. The next thing is the water that we drink, and the next thing after that is the food we eat, and then the next thing is our social connections, our wife, our kids, our cats, our dogs, all the things we love. So food is way up there on the necessity chain.
Right.
It's
Well, and I
hard to
kind of
survive
put
without
those all
food.
together in a lot of ways, but yeah, food and water together. Um, my dog wants out, but I want to play us a little commercial from Foop before we do this giveaway. If you're okay with that, are you at a good stopping point?
Oh yeah, no. It's hard to stop me when
I
and
know, I
I
know,
apologize.
and I don't want to stop you, but
Apologize.
it's like no, you don't have to. I think the people that have been here for the hour and 45 minutes have been really absorbing the information. So to all of you guys that have been waiting for the giveaway, we're about to do that. And anybody that's coming in now, make sure you hashtag before we do this. And also, one last reminder, you can hashtag on every location that we're live, multiple Facebooks, YouTube, Rumble, on X. But we're going to play a little video from Biochar. That'll give me a minute to get upstairs to take the dog out. And then when we come back, we will probably do this giveaway. So make sure you get in on that. Everybody, is $50 towards the Foop website. You can get some biochar from there. Make sure I have that. It's about a 2-minute video on biochar. Oh, they added a bunch of videos in here for me. Give me a moment. Well, they took the biochar video away. I like that. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's a never mind. That's a different
amazing,
video.
amazing stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, I really like that video, and now I don't see it. Who's been in my thing here? Okay, we'll just play Ash Veg. Ash Veg. That's I don't know if I can play that one. Can you? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Get this hashtag in while I go take the dog out, if you know what I mean, and we'll be right back.
Biochar is charcoal used for agriculture, and it's a game changer. It is created through a process called pyrolysis, a technique that bakes wood in a low oxygen setting at high temperatures. The result is a carbon-rich charcoal that improves soil health and fertility. Here's the science behind it. The porous nature of biochar provides an ideal habitat for beneficial soil microbes. These microbes, in turn, help in the decomposition of organic matter, releasing nutrients into the soil. Additionally, biochar also has a high capacity to retain water and nutrients. Not only does this save resources, but it also makes the soil more resilient to drought and nutrient depletion. Here's a good way to think about it. Biochar acts like a sponge, soaking up nutrients and water and releasing them slowly over time. The end result is healthier, more fertile soil that supports robust plant growth. And this practice is nothing new. Thousands of years ago, South American indigenous tribes utilized biochar in their agricultural practices. You probably didn't know that the Amazon rainforest is actually a man-made garden, with biochar as the key ingredient of an ancient supersoil, and it remains some of the most fertile on the planet thousands of years later. Despite its benefits, biochar can initially compete with plants for nutrients due to its high absorption capacity, potentially reducing nutrient availability to plants when first added to soil. Organic inoculated biochar by Foop Organic Biosciences solves this problem, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before. This biochar is inoculated with fish manure, providing it with a ready supply of nutrients and beneficial microbes. As a result, it will immediately begin to enrich your soil and will never compete with your plants for nutrients. By using this organic inoculated biochar, you're not just adding biochar to your soil, you're adding a nutrient-rich, microbe-packed soil amendment that's ready to start benefiting your plants straight away. So, whether you're a farmer tending to vast fields or a gardener nurturing a small vegetable patch, this new organic inoculated biochar can help you improve your soil health and fertility, which will allow your plants to uptake nutrients more efficiently. Biochar represents a bridge between the past and the future, a tool that was once used by ancient civilizations and is now being harnessed by modern agriculture. Try Foop today and see the difference for yourself.
All right, that is a little bit of the process and the benefits of biochar. I like it. It seems like a good thing to do, but also seems like a process to make it. So, that means you have to have a supply of it and everything. So I always think about what I can do with what's around me if, say, supply chains break down, etc. it can be rough. Okay, so we're gonna do the spin now, so I don't get back into some awesome conversation. You guys, 53 people in here, plus 12 over on Rumble, so 65 people hanging out, 56 in on the hashtag. So that's pretty good. Make sure you get it in on it. Give it another couple. We'll give it another minute or so. Is there anything that you wanted to, I mean, obviously we could talk for hours, but is there anything that you wanted to promote or get out there more that we haven't talked about yet? The grass is a very, very interesting because I actually really wanted to go towards a system of using my waste to create methane. And so that was interesting. Definitely want to get back into that, but I always want to make sure I give the guests room for something that maybe hasn't come up that you always definitely let me know if there's something we didn't hit yet.
Well, the only thing is like I say, I'm not really trying to promote this Calga, but what I am saying is that it's super effective in promoting overall plant health.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're representing, Supercharged Organics tonight, and I appreciate it, and I definitely want to hear a little bit about the Calga. So you definitely you hit it pretty good, and I appreciate what it sounds really awesome. There's been a bunch of people interested. Oh, sorry, I think I cut you off.
Trial is all I'm saying. Just
yeah.
Don't take my word for shit. Just try it, and like I say, you'll be surprised. You'll be you'll be pleasantly surprised.
You can get 10% off right now, guys, on the Supercharged Organics website, superchargedorganics.com. Code John420. John420. And so, yeah, definitely want to go check it out. Use that discount code. All right, so that's been a couple minutes. Guys, there's more people are coming in now. It looks like Tag and Wayne's on the job. Make sure you guys hashtag before I spin it. I'm about to spin it here in a second. So, yeah, this discount I just put on the screen here from Supercharged Organics, John420 for 10% off on their website. There you go. Derek says he's going to check it. All right. Heck yeah. Okay, 10 seconds, and I'm going to do this spin. Great show, John. I really appreciate you for coming up, man. It's like my brain is like full right now, and I'm loving it. So,
well, let me tell you something real quick. Biochar is a drop-in replacement for coal.
It does what? I'm sorry?
It's a drop-in replacement for coal.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of like a charcoal, but not quite.
It has the same BTU value as coal does.
Louis Mando. I'm not sure. I've seen that person for a little while, so I think we should probably do a quick 30-second countdown. We will be right back. 30 seconds of a little Foop thingy. Okay, yeah, he's looks like he's not here, so we're gonna respin. Draw again. Guys, if you want hash and dash immunity for any shows that I do, Wayland the Indoor Farmer, and including game night, including any giveaway I ever do, you can just join up on my locals community. It's a subscription platform. $2 a month is all it costs, and you get hash and dash immunity for things like this. You come in, hashtag, and then get out. If you got something to do. Rose is probably here. I'm gonna say Rose is probably here, but let's give her a second. I didn't recognize the first name, so I didn't assume they'd be here very long. But Rose has got to be here. She's got to be here. Maybe not. There she is. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't need to play that again. I'm not gonna do it again because I knew she'd be here. Been a while been trying to win this for a while. Awesome. Congrats, Rose. Awesome. Let me write that down. I believe now, Rose, don't Don't quote me on this, but we'll find out. I think you can still use the GrowFam10 discount code with that. But like I said, I'm not 100%, so we'll figure that out. Foop. So we got 52 people in here. What do you guys say we do a giveaway of a GrowFam rolling tray? If you guys if we want to try and keep it rolling and keep getting some more folks in here, we can maybe do another one here while we're talking to John. That'll be coming from me. Yeah, I feel like, it took us a while to get up there tonight because the algorithm seems like it's one of those nights. It's like every other week, it'll be a hit or miss whether they let me get seen or not. But we can use this, get a little bit of excitement going on here. I'm gonna write this down real quick here. And yeah, guys, go ahead and get the hashtag. But yeah, John, again, you're welcome anytime you have to go. But there's so much more we could get into. As far as, I guess we'll go back to the methane then. I did see a story, I believe it was in New Zealand or Austria, where a farmer was losing money every year, and I always get the numbers mixed up. But he's losing money. He couldn't sell all of his crop, and then he put in a system. Hey, I just let you out. Get out of here. He put in a system that was able to take all of his waste and turn it into methane, generate electricity, and then create a profit out of his problem there. And so I'm like, man, why don't we do that more? Why don't we? And actually, kind of along the lines of this grass, I was thinking, like, couldn't you grow like weeds, not like cannabis, but like whatever plant grows super quick that we don't really want. Chop it down, turn it into methane. And you're literally doing that. And so you found this grass that's like super, super quick growing. So this is awesome. It's like from my thoughts to reality right here,
Well, I'll send you some pictures later on of some of the grass growing in Hawaii. It's pretty phenomenal. It's, if you could imagine like your front yard, your lawn, when it's like 6, 7, 8 inches tall. And imagine yourself being about an inch tall, like a little inch tall action figure wandering through that.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Real quickly here's a kind of an interesting thing. The poop, the fish poop, the excrement from fish in an aquaculture situation, that they excrete cytokinins and auxins, which are growth regulators, positive growth regulators for plants. And Calga is seaweed based. It has those same growth regulators. So there's a lot of commonalities between these two fertilizers.
Oh.
And when used together, there's a synergistic effect because, of course, the fish excrement provides NPK.
Mm-hmm.
Calga provides phosphorus, but calcium, magnesium, all a complement of trace minerals.
Yes,
A complete complement of amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins and plant cells. Combine those two fertilized together, and you would have a biodynamic, very synergistic complement of macronutrients, micronutrients, and buffering agents, because the calcium also works as a buffering agent. Like when you get an upset stomach because of too much pizza.
Yeah.
And you take those little antacids.
Try not to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, all those are basically are calcium carbonate. It's just calcium.
Because it's so heavy in your system and you can't really.
And the calcium neutralizes the acids.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. My bad.
So it's a neutralizer. So it's a real good thing.
Real quick, I see something that I got to point out to everybody. It looks like we have Supercharged Organics is going to give away a bag of Calga.
Oh, there we go.
So we'll have to do this rolling tray first. I think that's what this says. If I'm not mistaken, that's what we will give away another Calga bag. I'm assuming that means right now on the show tonight. So yes, I definitely will be down for that. We're going to do this rolling tray first, so make sure you get lots of hashtags in on that. And again, hashtag on every location, guys. It really helps. Gets the blood flowing as it were. So apologies, John.
No.
So the calcium being something that the aquaponic system is deficient in.
Yes,
I don't know that I could put Calga in the aquaponic system.
you certainly could. I'm going to tell you something. This is
Okay.
I'm probably not supposed to say this, so this is not me as a plant scientist. This is me as a chemist speaking.
Okay.
The same Calga, the same calcium can be used as a nutritional supplement, and it would be the same supplement that people would spend hundreds of dollars for a dosing complement per month. It's the same calcium. It's readily assimilated. People who have osteoporosis, this product can be, it can't be. It's just strictly plant use. It's the same damn thing.
Right. I would say
It's like the same salt that you use to make your celery salty. It's the same salt. You put it on a slug, it dries it up. You know kind of what I'm saying here?
Right.
It's the same, but it's so pure and organic that if you were to put it into your aqua system,
sure, it shouldn't
it
hurt
would
anything.
buffer and neutralize some of the acids.
Good, because that's
Calcium
my
is
problem.
very important. What type of fish are you growing?
Just some little tropical. Yeah, no, just some little tropical. Like I got guppies and stuff. It's a 55-gallon aquarium. It's not even big enough for like a tilapia yet.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to harm them whatsoever. A small amount,
and they breed like crazy, so it's not too great. But as far as the I don't want it to gum up the system per se. I don't want to harm the fish, like you said. If they're okay. So yeah, it sounds like something I might be able to supplement.
So how it would be done is you take a small amount, like let's say 3 grams, and you would put it in water, and you would get it so that it's in solution. There'd be a certain component that would be a precipitate, and it would float out at the bottom. So then you would decant the stuff that's in solution into the tank, but you would leave the sediment that fell out of solution. You would not put that into the tank.
Okay. Well, and there's going to be sediment in the bottom of the tank too. I guess I wouldn't need that much. I don't think it would be like a lot I'd be adding in. Come here.
No, you'd be for a 10-gallon tank. I would imagine the same amount that you would find in like a Sweet and Low package.
Wow. Well, that's actually a good segue to a question I had earlier. Can you overdose? Can you overdo it? Especially, we'll go with Calga specifically. But is that something that you could do too much?
Well, okay. So here's a funny thing. So part of my experiments with this product is, we want to find a range of efficiency. So I found out that this is very effective on extremely low amounts. What happens if we go well above and beyond super optimal conditions, and we go too much, almost leveling on a toxic? So here's what happens. I don't find any phytotoxicity from the plant. There's no necrotic margins. The plants aren't dying back. It's not burning them. But what happens is when you get a concentration of 15 to 20% Calga in the soil profile, it starts to form like a cementum. And it reduces soil porosity. It reduces the tilth and the softness of the soil. It's kind of like, when you take cement, take cement and you mix it in with mud, eventually the mud gets hard, and becomes what's called structural soil. So that's what happens when you use too much. You don't get a burning issue. It makes the soil so that it doesn't expand and contract every time you give it water. It loses part of its ability for gas exchange. Gas exchange is probably one of the most important components of the soil profile. It has to breathe because roots absorb oxygen. So the beautiful thing about Calga is because it's got a lot of calcium. Calcium grabs on to O2, to oxygen, helps it stay in the soil profile, brings it up to the plant roots, and readily releases the oxygen at the roots.
Right, because
So
cow is already so release or so readily uptakeable. Right.
because it's like a solution, and what it does is it supports electron transport. It supports everything in the soil profile. The NPK, it supports and aids and increases availability and uptake, along with the micronutrients, along with amino acids. It does all the stuff, including if there was toxic elements in the soil, it would help them absorb that as well.
Right, for the remediate, or not, I don't know if remediation is the right term for this. They bring in the chemicals through the plants, but yeah,
It's a facilitator of electron transport.
sure.
Now, theoretically, we're going to grow stuff and we're going to have really good soil or really good this and that. It's only going to help introduce positive things.
That's awesome. So
But
you
it's so
can
effective that it'll introduce all kinds of things. That's
Mhm.
why, it's super amazing how it works.
So overdoing it is possible, but you have to it's probably a high amount. And to your point, it works well on a very low amount. So I think, I guess that's a question for Supercharged Organics. If it says on the package, like roughly how much, like a conversion rate for how much you put into how much soil or whatever, we'll find out. I actually have I built a table that's kind of about the same size as a pool table. It's about 6 inches deep, and and it's lined with the pond liner. And I was going to do aquaponics with it, but instead I think I'm going to fill it with living soil. Like half of my worm bin, it's going to be almost like a place where I'm going to take a corner of it and build a spot where I can put my inputs for the worms and have that be where it's composting essentially.
Sure.
And then spread through there, and then sort of keep it, because I know you can overdo it with worm castings too in the soil. You don't want to just have, you can't have 90% worm castings. But if they're all sort of living together and the worms are in the soil, and I keep adding enough other things such as cocoa core and maybe perlite, maybe, I guess. I don't know if perlite would be good.
I don't know. Perlite would not be a good thing because there's certain chemicals in perlite that can inhibit the growth. You got to remember, perlite is like puffed glass, but it has a little bit more than calcium in it.
Okay.
And it can be detrimental. So here's an interesting thing. A friend of mine was very involved in vermiculture for years and years, and he had his vermiculture operation built over a very fine mesh screen. And underneath that screen, he had these Dutch trays, which people grow plants in that hold water. And weekly, he would irrigate the vermiculture, the compost, and the water would percolate through and it would release certain elements and nutrients. And he would catch it in these pans. And then that worm tea would go into his composting machine, this big machine where he brewed these teas, these different types of manure teas and compost teas and such. And the worm casing tea went into it with it. And so that's how he harvested his worm casings, was he irrigated it and he captured the water that percolated through.
Right, the worm tea, yeah.
Yes, and he used distilled water because distilled water is the best solvent. And it captured all the nutrients from the vermiculture.
But would it kill the worms, though, I wonder?
Well, no, because he didn't use copious amounts.
Okay.
It was small amounts of irrigation. It was just enough to get a small amount. I would say it was probably less than 8 or 9% volume of the soil that he put water into it. You got to remember, he fed his worms on a very high regimen of. He had red wigglers,
and
that's
what I got.
He fed them no newsprint. It was all paper that was not printed, and that was called craft paper. Craft paper they don't use bleach in the pulping process. So it's like the brown stuff, like the stuff brown paper bags are made out of,
Right.
or like those rolls of wrapping paper that UPS uses and such. That's craft paper. So he relied on a diet of craft paper mostly. And so they had a lot of good nutrients. And then, of course, he put in a lot of organic material from the home, and foodstuffs, all vegetative material that was shredded and well shredded and mixed in. But the majority of it was he was using cellulose. He's using a lot of really clean cellulose.
I like to repurpose waste materials. So I do shove my kitchen waste and my plant like trimmings and stuff, but I am trying to let it dry out a little bit first. I need to get a food processor is what I want to get. And that really, I guess, ups the game as far as vermiculture goes.
Yes.
But yeah, I actually, what I learned from Soil Food, shouts out again to Soil Food, is that they let you know, especially guys, if you're out there and you're doing a worm bin, if it stinks, I love this, is if it stinks, if it has a bad smell, then chances are you're feeding the worms something that's not great for them.
Yes.
Or what, I don't know, for lack of a more serious way to put it, it's just not good food for the worms. So I always check my worm bin. I'm like, it smells good. It smells good in here. So like we're good to go. But yeah, shoving a whole, vegetables and fruit and stuff in there sometimes is not good for it. It takes too long to break down. And yeah, that's another story altogether. I love the soil talk though, because I actually was so against it. When I first started this whole journey, I thought I'll do aquaponics. I'll farm at table height in water and not even in soil at all. Now here I am. I got a bin with potatoes in it behind over here. I'm thinking about building a giant table of soil, and I still think you could do it, at table height, especially once I build a building that's got a tall ceiling, instead of having us down on our knees in the dirt. But there's always going to be some of that, I think, either way. Real quickly, it's 12 minutes since we did the last one. Let me get you guys one more minute here to do this hashtag, and then we're going to do the spin because we have another giveaway after that. We're at 38 entries. Let's try to get to at least 40 entries. We got 43 reactions and 55 people here, guys. Let's hit that like button. And I guess a lot of people came through on X, so that's where a lot of people are in. We got 8 people over on Rumble. If you could all hit that like button, I appreciate that. Yeah, so we got 32. Country Boy Weeds in the house. Get in the hashtag, you and maybe one other person, and then I'll spin it. Because we're already past the amount of time I usually do the show, because we could probably go on for ages. This is insane. I've learned a lot. Thank you again. A lot of people have thanked us in the comments. I appreciate those kind words, everybody. If you're just coming in, make sure you hashtag this, and then we're going to spin it.
Well, Waylon, I'm going to use this as a good point to kind of break off. And it's as you can see out my back window here, it's now dark.
Sure.
I've got to put the farm to bed.
Yeah.
I hope we have another opportunity to talk about this stuff. And like I say, I really stand behind the product. I don't really have a dog in this fight here, but I will tell you, I'm very pro natural stuff. So, like I say, fish manure, biochar, Calga, these are all positive things, and they're all things that are components of a really holistic growing scenario. And so it's just important. It's important to be aware. It's important to practice what we preach. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. I'm going to probably, I think I'm 100% going to have you back on at some point, but I think I'll probably have a list of questions for next time, and we'll get into it more specifically on some things. But it's been incredible, brother. I appreciate it again. And yeah, you can get out of here anytime you'd like. You've been here for over 2 hours. I really appreciate that.
We can have a more structured approach the next time. And like I say, I'm more than willing to do a seminar on some form of plant nutrition or, geez, a lot of stuff.
Awesome. And there's actually another thought too. On my show on Mondays is actually my original show, just called The Indoor Farmer. And that's the show where I actually show off some footage of like what I have going on, My co-hosts are Steve-O, who's actually another Grow Fam creator. He does his show on Thursday nights, but he does it about terpenes. So I hope he heard some of our terpene talking earlier. But anyway, we do our show on Mondays, but we try to get a guest on that's a grower as sort of a co-host for the night, and they get to watch what we're doing and kind of input. But anyway, I'll talk to you in the DMs. I'm rambling. I'll let you go. Thanks again.
God's blessings. Everyone stay care and always take the opportunity to lift a brother up. That's what we're here for.
Thanks again, John.
All
Love
right.
the hat, by the way.
Yeah. It keeps my bald head from getting cooked in the sun.
Right. It's important. It's for real. For real. Thanks again.
All right.
Good night. All right. We got John Carroll, everybody. That was intense. I gotta thank him, but I also gotta thank Supercharged Organics for hooking us up. I did not expect this. I'll be honest. We were in talks for a week now. Hey, can you come on next week? Yeah, I got my guy John. He's got some experience in cannabis, but he's also, just great in general. And then, it came down to today, and I was like, all right, I better go get a hold of John and touch base and see what's up. And then for just about 20 minutes before the show started, I found out, the depth, a little bit of the depth that I was going to get into, and I'm like, holy cow! So this is going to be, so it's a little disappointing that I didn't think about it ahead of time and actually really pull out all the stops to try to get as many people in tonight, because I think everybody could benefit from tonight's discussion. So with that being said, definitely can be rewatched. Anybody that came in late just for the giveaway, or you're not really sure what was going on, rewatch the show. Rewatch this show. It's going to be it's out everywhere. It's not going anywhere off of the platforms that you're watching it from now. But definitely going to have some rewatch value on this one. All right, let's do this hashtag. Let's do this spin here. This is coming from me. It's going to be a Grow Fam rolling tray. Only a few of those left in existence, or at least to give out anyway. Derek's gonna rewatch. Yeah, like rewatch and then take notes. I might have to do that. And like I was here. So yeah. So here we go. Good luck. What's up, Josh? Hello. What's up, everybody? I really appreciate it. I tried to put up as many comments as I could, and I really just wanted to let John go and just, oh wow, look at that. Look at that. So we got Supercharged Organics, who was just offering up another giveaway. So we got another giveaway after this. Plus, they offered I think they said something about sending a bag or 2 bags. I forget what you had said exactly, if you could reiterate that. Plus, they offered a discount on their website tonight. So if anybody goes to the superchargedorganics.com and you want to check out that Calga, you want to get some for yourself, you can get 10% off if you use code John420. John420. And so I want to get confirmation real quick. We're going to gift it. Okay, you're going to excuse me. You're going to gift it. You're going to gift it to someone right now, or do you want to wait? Because it doesn't matter to me. We can get together in the DMs, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, very cool. Let me write that down. I always appreciate someone new coming through and winning, even though you were here under, different circumstances than just a regular viewer. But I appreciate anybody winning that hasn't won before. So give me a second to set up the next giveaway. Awesome. This Calga. Definitely interested to check some of this out. Set that off here. Okay. What should we do? We'll just go with the old hashtag Supercharged Organics. And there we go. Yeah, if you guys want to try this Calga that we were talking about earlier, this is the way to do it. Remember, you can hashtag on 7 different places. In 7 different places, you can hashtag to get a chance to win this. And I encourage you to do so. We did, and we want a respin. We did, and we want a respin. Oh, you wanted a respin for that? Okay. Well, I've already moved on. Yeah, that's. I should have waited a second to look. My bad. It's okay. We'll find a way to give it out. I got a few of them still. Maybe I'll send you something else. I'll send you a little goodie pack with, some stuff like one of my little cards. It's got my face on it and the QR code. Maybe I'll send you some. Ooh, I'll send you some money. Do you want some money? This money. This is where I keep my money, guys, in this bag here. Let me show you real quick. I've given some out already. But yeah, I mean, like anybody that wants some of my money, like, hey, look this bill here. This bill is a $10,000 bill, you guys. That's a $10,000 bill. Let's look. Let's keep looking here. Look at this. That's a $1,000 bill, guys. That's a $1,000 bill, right there. It's even got the metal strip, that little shiny strip at the top there. Look at that. Split the money with the Grow Fam. I'm being sarcastic. Like, I definitely would send you some. These are dinar. You wouldn't even be able to buy a cheeseburger with them, but they're fun. It's fun. These are what is this, a $50 bill? I think no, 200. It's a $250 bill. Yeah, for the Iraqi spending money. Yeah, Timothy got some. Michelle Paris got some. I think I sent some to Kim. So it's for fun. I got it when I was in Iraq, and actually it wasn't for fun at the time because there was a chance that it actually took off as the new currency, but they kept changing up the currency on purpose because they kept selling it to Americans. Because the last time when we were in Desert Storm in the 90s, in 1990, a lot of Americans bought the new currency in Kuwait when they had changed currency, and they made a lot of money. Like the currency, they bought it at like a low amount, kind of like when Bitcoin was real cheap. They bought it at a low amount, and then it took off and took value, and people made a lot of money. So then this time, a lot of people remembered that who went back. People were still in the military, came and went back into Iraq, and 04, 05. And they were buying up boatloads of dinar, guys. I'm telling you, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from single individuals. Like we had American civilians that were going over there to work for the government or work for the military, just like driving trucks and working in the, on the base or whatever. We had civilians. It was called a KBR company. It was some politician that was able to get their brother's company in there. It was a big thing. But basically, we had these civilians that were going over there, and they were making like $100,000 for working for 3 months, or even more. And so they were literally dumping everything into these dinars, thinking that it was going to take off. What I bought was like $13, like that was like $13. But these people were literally buying so much, and then the Iraqis were smart because they just were like, we just change it again to a new currency, and then all that money that was spent is like a paperweight. Derek, you remember that? Oh man, it was kind of funny, but also sad to all the people that were just dumping their paychecks into it, man. But yeah, it's messed up. No problem, Tex. Thank you. They paid me as an adventure. I got all the things. I did go to some college for it, but because of it, but didn't finish the college thing. It was wasn't for me. But yeah, guys, this will be our last giveaway for the night. Make sure you go to we're live on the Grow Fam Homestead. We're live on Wayland Indoor Farmer. We're live on the same two for YouTube. We're also live on Rumble, the same two for Rumble. We're live on my X channel over there, the Indoor Farmer on X. I've had a few people pop through on X tonight. I had 26 pop through on X. We still got 20 people hanging out. The Grow Fam Homestead definitely was closed tonight. Grow Fam Homestead was closed tonight. 11 people hanging out over there. It's not the end of the world. It was a great show, and I think that this is going to be a super. I don't know. Let me back up a minute. I think it's going to be a very rewatchable show. So I think I'm actually going to do. I'm going to do one dab with you guys. I don't want to sully our good friend's name. Like he said, he's got a lot of professional connections, and he is working with the Department of Energy, and so I do want to do one dab with you guys before we do this spin, and we will call it a night. Very pleased with the information though tonight. I'm sad, So sometimes, as a streamer, you get sad because the numbers go up and down. But tonight, I'm more sad because of how much information we missed. A lot of the fam missed out on. I mean, there was one night where I didn't even have a great guest on, and I literally had 200 people in here for 2 hours. It was just because. It's the algorithm, man. Like one day it was open, the other day it's closed. And it's like it has nothing to do with you or me. It's just it has something to do with somebody, but not us. Dabs give strong energy, Chris. You're right, brother. You're right. Josh got a buddy who lives in Alabama. Is there a joke there? Or is there a story coming? Or maybe someone else said he's from Alabama. Anyone say any different? Come see me. Oh, that's X. I missed something there. Terp up. Okay. All right. We'll do a quick terp, and then we'll get on the way. You guys, one real quick shout out, just because I like this little background I made this week. All 4 of these videos playing behind me were made by the same person, and he can do that for you if you're interested. A good friend of mine who shouts out to the Pub Time podcast. He can take your logo. If you have a logo already, you take the logo, and he can do different stuff with the logo. So he has to have a logo. He's not making the logos for you, but he can do something with it. It's pretty fun. And of course, shouts out to Supercharged Organics. Definitely going to be hoping to work with them more in the future as well. Not only see John more often, but definitely bring Supercharged into into the community. Of course, you guys know I have my own subscription platform, and we're hoping to see that take off. And I'm actually, real quick, that's a good call. I got to let everyone know, people who are already paid supporters for the indoorfarmer.locals.com. I did put up a post today, and that post on Locals is going to be something I do every week. And I'm going to use the people who comment on that post. I'm going to give you a number. You comment on the post, hit the like button, and I'll give you a number. And I'm going to be using that to do giveaways directly for my Locals people. I think I'm going to do the first one on game night this Sunday, and it's going to be a thing every week. Also, along with that, on game night to find out who the players are instead of a live stream on Locals, I'm going to put up a post on game night specifically for players. So people who paid, the people who are in there, or unless you have an exception for some reason, you can just go in there and comment on a post instead of trying to find the live stream. It should make things a little bit easier. We'll see. Tried to find Supercharged to follow, but couldn't. Charles, I believe it's spelled just like this. You have to put a space between organics, though. Definitely 2 words. Cheers, everyone. Appreciate the attention tonight to this awesome guest. Peace. What am I saying? Cheers. Oh, hey, look at that. Thanks, Margaret. There's a link to Locals, well, to the supporter part of Locals. Maybe you have to follow it to tag it. You mean your page? Yeah. Looks like Corey followed it. Will I explain the game night game, please? Sure, I will. The game night game is a digital on-screen game, basically more like a game show. So we get players to come on screen. Those players will have teammates in the audience, and so they're like team captains on screen, and the team captains will be playing the game, and most of it's explainable while you go, but it's a little bit imagination meets game show meets a lot of our beloved games as kids. I mean, you go through and you explore a shop from one of our sponsors. Excuse me. And you go around exploring a shop, rolling dice to move around. And then when you run into encounters, and those encounters basically they trigger a wheel with mini games on the wheel. The mini games have different ways to win, and they offer you these market coins. Maccabee's Live Market, not market coins, and you also earn magic joints, and those are spendable in different ways. And more or less, you're trying to win prizes for you and your team. And that's as much of a gist as I can make it, I think. Derek, you're going to go check it out. Appreciate it, brother. Or no, you're going to follow Supercharged. That's right. It was good. Thank you for asking. For me having to explain something right afterwards is I don't know what's up with the dabs I have right now, but they cause me to cough a little more than I normally have to do. All right, let's do this giveaway. Let me see where we're at. 33 people in on the giveaway. I think it's might be like extra CO2 or something. I'm not sure. Well, they done, I'm done with dabs. When they done, what? All right, here we go. Let me see where we're at. 34. Good luck, everybody. Let's see, we're at 10 seconds. 10 seconds to get your hashtag in. Let's get 2 in a row. Okay. Huh. Don't have to tell me twice. Good luck, everybody. Tasha Chapman Reed. Tasha, are you here? JR, yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know. Dabs typically are better for me. Flowers are much harder for me. It's just the dabs I have right now, they're rough. Tasha, hey, okay, there she is. I thought you'd be here. Didn't wait too long on this one. All right, Tasha, I will probably hook you up with a group message with Supercharged Organics and myself. If that doesn't work, though, it might not work if it's a page, actually. So we'll figure it out. But I got you written down. Come here. Come here. Everybody wants to see you. They can hear you over there. Come here. She just walks away. She's trying to get me to walk away. I'm busy. All right, drawing again, guys. So hashtag Supercharged Organics if you want to get in on this this second draw. Cheating never works. Flower favorite. Yeah, the flower just gets to me. Even worse. Okay. All right, we're going to hit the draw button one more time. Give it 30 seconds. What's this, Corey? Just like, give me the money. 15 seconds. Three, two, one. Good luck, everybody. Christina Dawn. Are you out there, Christina? I don't think it was that long of a giveaway, so I'm not doing a countdown. Oh, I'm here. Oh. I see you, but I need to see other you. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that skirts the rules, but I see you over here too. Like, luckily the picture is the same though. Like, so you guys see that? You got Charles and you got Christina. I mean, you can pick who's who, but they look like a lovely couple, and it's the same exact picture. So I think in this situation, it probably would have been fine. It can be great. What are we talking about? Pound per plant and decent, right? Okay. We watch together. Well, I appreciate that. Definitely. You guys need to get on game night, Christina, because that is really cool to have married couples. There's a couple of them, or not necessarily married, but couples, where you can, because I make people alternate a week so that everyone gets a chance. So we got Terry. Shouts out to Terry and Brenda Breiler. They will, sometimes they'll be on opposite weeks, and that way they're basically winning something every week. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, good, Anya. Congratulations. Very cool. Let me write that down. Okay. I think that's about it for me, guys. It's been a great show, and I got a lot to process now. Definitely want to give a try to some of this Calga along with my Foop. Okay. One other thing. What was it? I was just about to say. I forgot. Oh, the discount. Don't forget about the discount code over at superchargedorganics.com. And you can get 10% off, I think it was. And the code is John420. John420. JR is using it now. Cool. Follow organics. Heck yeah. guys. Yeah, let's get a few follows on the Supercharged Organics people. We gift it, or we can gift it to you. Gift what? Favorite viewer? Oh, you mean the rolling tray? We still want to give away the prize we won. Well, I don't want to make everyone hashtag for it again, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll just give it out again maybe next week instead of on a different show or whatever. I'll do it. I'll do it for Grill Fam next Wednesday. To my main channel, or is this my channel? JR, if you're talking to me, brother, my main channel, if you're watching from Grow Fam Homestead, is my page on Facebook, Waylon the Indoor Farmer. That's where I go live from on Facebook anyway. So if you could also hashtag, look, you could search a hashtag WTIF. This hashtag, you should be able to find me on Facebook. What else? Oh, yeah, well, you can follow me too. My name is Waylon Maccabee. Waylon Maccabee. What's up? Maccabee's Live Market. That's my other page, but that's a non-cannabis page. I don't go live on that one. That's going to be where I sell. You know, that's my microgreens, my business. Maccabee's Live Market. That's the building, and I'm the guy, the indoor farmer. And the show. Two different things. Good night, Michelle. Good night, everyone. Let me get my outro out. Outro. Tomorrow night, people in the boxes. I didn't really talk about it much, but I believe we're going to be getting some glass blowers on and probably have some pieces that may or may not be given out to the audience. So tomorrow night's people in the boxes will be definitely one to make. I'm hoping to get several glass blowers up there and to have them talk about the whole industry, the skill, the art, all of it, and then maybe we'll check out some glass, because I think all of us, even if you're not a cannabis smoker, has worked with some kind of glass, a piece of glass, and glass is something that we've all had to deal with, right? So we'll get into it. But as always, every single person on the planet has to eat. That's why we're doing this. So thanks a lot, guys. Peace. Good night, everybody. Thanks again.